So we began the conversation about how things were going and the type of feedback that we're receiving from people that we know,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
And we talked about the what authenticity and how to stick to that, right? So a lot of hot topics going on right now in the world. I'm sure each one of you can probably think of one. One of them that kept my attention last night is the election that just took place in Kentucky.
Mm.
And I'll go ahead and give a background. There is Congressman Massey, right? Massey, a conservative Republican type, being accused of basically siding way too much with Democrats. And there is a law, well, there's several laws, I'm sure, but there's several different agendas. But one of them in particular is the Save America Act, which has to do with voter integrity. Um, so it's not the issue at hand. Somehow it's become, but because there was some disagreement along the way, he became a target. So much so that money poured into his state, his district, and he got unseated last night.
Hmm.
And this is a guy who has been very vocal about, hey, let's go ahead and disclose the Epstein files,
Mhm.
right? Been very vocal about that. Been very vocal about APAC. By the way, this was APAC money, and if you're not familiar with APAC, that is a a Jewish American. I'm told Jewish American. Look, I very very connected to Israel, and it's a political action committee, and they pour money into different states. And he's been vocal, saying, along with Marjorie Taylor Greene, this also was a congresswoman from, what was she? One of the Carolinas, or was it Georgia?
I don't remember.
Gotcha. But so anyway, the background on him is that he got unseated yesterday. So it was all over X, some mention of it on Facebook. But to me, why is it a big deal? Okay. The first thing that comes to mind is what's happening in Texas right now. Uh, Another big story that came out was that Trump endorsed Ken Paxton, who serves as the Attorney General right now,
Mhm.
and he endorsed him because he's running for senator. And as we all know, in this United States of America, there's two senator seats, so it's very powerful to be a senator from Texas. One of them is Ted Cruz, which I'm not a big fan of at all. So this guy, Cornyn, was someone who apparently was well liked by some in Texas, hated by others, and Democrats, they just want to go ahead and put their own guy in.
Mhm.
That's Tellerico, and he's Democrat. Apparently, he thinks that there's six genders. I heard. Uh, so
Okay.
I don't know. There's a lot of stuff going on. We can talk about this all day, but that's the background. Now, I'd like to have your take on if anything comes to mind, jumps right at you from that conversation.
The little bit that I heard about the whole Massey situation, the little bit that I caught was the fact that Massey got pushed out basically because he um he wasn't he wasn't anti-Trump, but some people's take on it was that he was actually kind of running Trump's playbook against not against Trump, but he was being like anti-establishment to the point to where he just basically had no friends. And all the money that would have gone to him went a different direction. And I mean, if he was voting his principles, okay, well, I mean, maybe that's what he was doing. But when you're playing politics, you got to stick with the party a little bit or you're going to get left out on an island. And I think that's basically what happened. Now, why he chose to do it that way, whether he thought he was being innovative and trying to kind of run the same playbook that Trump ran, where he was like anti-establishment when Trump right now is the establishment. So maybe that's what he was doing. I don't know. But what you found out through this is, okay, you want to run the Trump playbook against Trump. It's not going to work against Trump because Trump is still going to be the ace card or the Trump card. And so I think that's probably one of the biggest reasons. Now, I didn't know about the AIPAC money necessarily coming in for his opponent, but that's a big tell for sure
Well,
in my book.
yeah, no, that's a very interesting point of view on the way you see it. Anything? Does anything come?
No, I'm not up to speed on that one
Mhm.
on that, but I might ask you something. Like, what are you worries about the situation? Like,
Yeah,
what is the alert that goes in your
yeah,
head?
yeah. The alarm that goes off is this: is if you make noise against Trump, he's going to come after you.
Mm.
All right.
Yeah. I was going to say that, yeah, if you're not for Trump, then he thinks that you're against him.
Yeah.
So he's going to get you out of the way. And Massie was one of the biggest proponents for releasing a bunch of information that I think Trump initially said that he wanted to have happen, but everything just kept getting slow played. And Massie was one of the few, along with Marjorie Taylor Greene, and then maybe Ro Khanna or some, maybe a couple of others that continued to push for it. And I think Massie just found himself out on an island.
Yeah.
That's
So my concern goes a lot deeper than that. To back to
Yeah.
your
Yeah, because I
question.
think one that's pretty on the surface, right?
Right.
It's kind of obvious that if you're not in his team, you're against his team.
Yeah, exactly.
And but
But so the biggest thing is, like I mentioned, reflective of Texas. So here you have these folks from Kentucky, right? And they're saying this is our guy, and he was threatened. He says, "Oh, I'm gonna come after your seat." Like no one knew that this other dude that all of a sudden came up as his opponent, right? I mean, and all of a sudden the guy takes it, takes it just like that. And apparently there was there was ballots to the tune of mail-in ballots, by the way,
oh boy.
to the tune of 10,000 plus, which is what Massey lost. He lost 10,000 votes plus.
Who's the guy who got voted in his place?
Apparently, there's a, and everybody loves the name Navy SEAL. He's a Navy SEAL.
That's
If
what I
it's a
heard.
Navy SEAL, automatically it puts a stamp on. Oh, you must be
outdoors.
as close as you can to a god. So let's go ahead and just put the stamp on.
I heard the name mentioned on something I was
Yeah.
listening to, and I couldn't repeat it. Nobody's ever heard of this guy before, and he comes out of the woodwork and just
Exactly.
takes the.
Well, he says all the right things. He says everything. Like to me is
It's a talking point deal, man. That's all it is.
well, the talking point goes further because it goes beyond. It's like, who can we get that's very good at reading script of this is who you are. This is what's going to make you like them.
Yeah, what's your pedigree coming in? Right?
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Well, no, it's more than that. It's you invent a character,
Right.
and you present it to the American public.
Right.
That guy may not be the guy that has all the credentials as described, right?
But he is gonna have pretty strong strengths.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is everything's make believe, right? And one of the things that I believe sets us apart here is our authenticity, which basically means that we're real, right? I only know so much. I can only tell you based on what I've read and what I've heard, but I'm pretty damn good at putting things together.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And the thing that bothers me about the whole fiasco is that these are, and I don't know what they go by, Kentuckians, right? Who basically, hey, your champion is out. Your champion is out. And he wasn't just champion for Kentucky. He was a champion for me. I know where are we here in Texas because he spoke with huevos. With huevos is basically you go after the establishment, you go against the establishment. You're not going to go ahead and say yes to the establishment unless you go ahead and agree with the establishment. That's what he said. Hey, he was accused of always siding with Democrats. And he's like, I only side with Democrats when it doesn't make any sense on this side. So to me, he was very clear that it's about what the overall picture was for him, and he was an independent voice. And to me, is I like that. I don't like yes people. You know, when we're in a boardroom, you know, yes people are the worst. They're just taking up space, right? They're fulfilling whatever it is, and that's the shame, because that's what people accuse every congressman and senator nowadays. They're just yes people. Unless they line up with the Trump's agenda, he's going to go after you. So what does that mean for Texas? Well, for the viewers, you should be very clear what's happening here. First of all, a seat is up for grabs. The guy that Trump wants in that seat, it's the guy that's been an AG in Texas for like forever. And if we're thinking that the AG, one of the things that he gets criticized for right now, Ken Paxton, is that child predator attorney just got 30 days in prison for finding out he was molesting a kid. He just like commune his sentence, or like, oh, some type of, not a commune, it's just like the plea deal, right? It's like some ridiculous amount. It's just like, yeah, you're only going to get these many days because he's an attorney.
So he's just kicking these guys back out on the street, is what you're saying?
Well, no, what I'm saying is this guy was an attorney. He obviously committed a crime, a horrendous crime. You know, he was abusing a child, and he had his day in court. And you'd think something like this, you know, will get pretty slammed pretty hard. You know, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, whatever. You know,
make it example.
Yeah, exactly. Cut his nuts off. But no, he got like 30 days or 90 days, some stupid amount like that. Yeah. So anyway, so this is a guy who's going to be senator. And he's like, oh, yeah, you know, both of them were just chomping at the bit. Please, Trump, endorse me.
So he wasn't a strong advocate of holding the letter of the law as the state attorney. And now you want to put him in as a senator.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look what happened in Uvalde. That's something that's near and dear to my heart. You know, we went after the scapegoat, I think, which is the Podunk police chief, right? When there was a state agency, there was a federal agency, but yeah, he was the example. You know, he's the only one that got charged. And when I personally, okay, talked to guys who do this training for a living, you know,
active shooter training.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, it was in Bernie at a veterans deal, and they were doing. They said that they were at the elementary schools. They're all decked out in their gear. You know, these are guys, just legit guys. You know, they're you can tell they've been well trained and well disciplined. And I asked one of the instructors. I said, "What do you think went down in Uvalde? What do you think the major cause was?" You know what he said? Lack of training. Lack of training. Okay, so to me, lack of training falls on the person responsible for distributing the money, figure out what's needed. What do you need? What do you need? What do you need? It becomes, if it's more like, hey, just, you know, it's like, here you go. No accountability. You create this type of situation.
Is it on the funding side, or is it on the the use of the money side, or is it on the request for the money side? I mean, like, I can see where it gets lost in the mix so many different ways.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I can see money coming down from on high.
Yeah.
And then the ones on the ground are like, well, we got this money. What are we supposed to use it for? They you know, what did we request it for? And then you have the implementation of actually making something happen with the funds. I think, you know, how often do they just get a pot of money and they just start handing it out before they know it? It's all gone all over the place. Okay, what did we really do with it? But was there really a plan to make something happen?
And not only that, like, hey, how do they know something like that is going to happen in a small town? It's one of those things where
Well-
we're trying to allocate the money as good as possible. But if, for example, you don't have a flood in a road for 40 years, you're not going to be spending money on putting a bridge. So when it floods, nothing happens, right? Until it happens. So
Exactly.
I think I'm not justifying it, but it's just my point of view that it's kind of hard to. Now, if there was somebody witnessing the type of training that they had on a daily basis or on any type of drills or any type of events that they had, maybe those are the people that should be held accountable because they're responsible for having the right trainee equipment, not equipment, a team, emergency response team, right? And if they see that there is some lack of it since the get go on drills and any type of uh, situational training, that's where okay, well, we need to put a little bit more funds here so we can improve it.
No, I got you, and I totally respect your points of view, but there are some key pieces. I've been following this for some time. There's some key pieces that I believe that once I share them with you, you'll agree with me. One of them was obviously, when bullets starts flying, everything changes. We've heard that. When bullets start flying, it changes. So I was a first responder in the military, and I guess because it didn't happen enough, you always were sometimes like the military drills it in, you'd have to be overly prepared. It's like train and train and train and train, and you almost hope for something to happen so you can see if your training works. I mean, as
Right.
morbid as it
Sure.
sounds,
Yeah.
But
That's true.
It's like training for a marathon that is not planned to happen.
yeah. So I mean, there mass confusion, right, taking place, but you have all this police force, and I remember there was parents trying to get in, and there was guys blocking parents from getting in. All this where shots were going off, right? And the idea that people heard shots still didn't move, and I'm talking about the law enforcement guys, and they already got their asses kicked for this, because I mean, not and I'm sure the demons. I saw some of the videos of these guys talking, the aftermath videos, and they're like, their life is over, because they have the blood of the children in their hands, and they know it, and the so what went wrong in a law enforcement scenario? Okay, we are trained to go ahead and follow orders, right? Follow chain of command, right? The minute you go ahead and disagree with the chain of command, you risk getting your gun taken away, losing your job, right? You risk it, right?
Sure.
And but sometimes you have to make a call, right?
Yeah.
And that's what happened. The call wasn't made, and I always go back to leadership, right? I always go back to leadership. You're telling me that the governor for the state of Texas did not know what was happening, okay, for that hour and change that was taking place. So it's like, oh, we have an active shooter. Oh shit. I know that if I were in charge, how long has it been? And I'm just finding out about this. All right. I mean, this is my state. I need to know. Somebody farts, I need to know, especially something like that big, and I have my guys, right? They know when to go ahead and let me know.
Right.
All right. And he had his guy. His name was Steve McGraw. All right. The superintendent for the state police. And this dude lied his ass off throughout the whole process of investigation, the aftermath. They first of all, they said that the responding force was, oh my goodness, they're all sitting up there. Ted Cruz was up there, the mayor was up there, and a bunch of other people. They were just saying, oh my goodness, if it wasn't for the law enforcement, it would have been a lot more kids dead. And it was 20 plus, right? And the investigation that came afterwards, first of all, it took forever, right? to forever. And didn't they tear the school down too?
Yeah. Well, I don't
Mhm.
know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they do.
Yeah. So, and my goodness, when this was taking place, the family members and the cries, and the wailing that was taking place of the children that had died, right? So to me, all this was swept under the rug. McGraw said that he would resign if it showed that the state police had any negligence from that standpoint. He never resigned. He retired, right? So they're covering their acts, right? And I never saw Kim Paxton coming in and saying, "Hey, you know what? Something horrible happened here. We need to get to the bottom of it." And I can tell you that the reason why you're having these type of trainings and this focus, in case it does happen again, like I said, I met those guys from they were doing the training in Bernie, right? So to me, it's like if your job is to protect the children, you have to go ahead and look at all kinds of different possibilities, things that can go wrong. And you need to be held accountable when something does go wrong and you don't deploy your team. Especially if you're gonna go ahead and hold them back, nobody's gonna take out of all the officers, 100 plus over there, nobody said, let's
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Let's go. What the fuck? Let's
Nobody
go.
lost their job for doing what it was right and disobeying the orders. Right.
Yeah, yeah. And I can tell you, the military, right? You can go to jail for disobeying, but at the same time, I mean, we're human beings and we're supposed to treasure life.
So the thing that rings in my ear throughout all of this
Mhm.
is accountability.
Yeah.
Number one, because to me, when was the last time you ever saw anybody in the government or any place of authority, maybe military? Like I've seen times where military has held people accountable for their actions, but once you get to us, even at a certain point in the military, it's more political, and even at that point, so there's a threshold somewhere. Like if I go do something wrong, I'm gonna get held accountable. That's gonna happen to me. I can't get away from it. But there's a threshold somewhere where there is a lack of accountability once it gets to a certain, I don't know what to call it, rank or sphere or whatever.
Yeah,
And
well,
politics definitely seems to be
yeah.
a big part of it.
Well, they certainly watch out for one another, right? And
Is it the lawyer class? Is it the political class? Is it? I mean, like where's that line at?
Well, I would say it's almost like money type. Like you have somebody who's got a bigger or a upper hierarchy,
Mm-hmm.
and it could be from power or from money. So there is not probably a defined line. It's pretty faded. So it could be, the people but as you say, somebody. It has to be somebody who's high up on the pyramid. Um,
I think it gets to the point where they consider themselves untouchable.
Well, it's like a different set of rules, right?
Yeah,
It's for you and yours, but not me and mine.
yeah,
And so you know, and then they're able to craft a narrative or
Yes.
whatever else, and this is the way that it was, and so this is why this is this way, and blah blah blah,
yeah,
and it just gets lost in the mix.
yeah,
And you know, the Joe Blow citizen, you just have to kind of suck up whatever we tell you,
yeah,
and that's what I mean. That's what happened. And yeah, we might shovel some money your way, and we might build you a new school, and we'll do
yeah.
all this other stuff, but it doesn't really fix any kind of problem. There's no, you know,
because it's a huge difference, where, like you say, the average Joe will
Yeah.
see something like, we give you money for school for a little bit of more law enforcement funding, and to the citizens, it's like, to the daily citizens, it's a huge amount of money, when for somebody in a different, I was gonna say, like a totally different plane of wealth and power,
Mhm.
it's not as significant, you know.
Yeah.
Uh,
Like I know that the mayor there was turned out to be a pretty stand-up guy. He was just disgusted with everything that took place, the way the investigation was done. He called people out, but again, got nowhere, right? No, just for the sake of the conversation, I'd like based on your opinions, right? What do you think should have happened? What based on what I just shared? To you mentioned accountability, but okay, so accountability is we point fingers. Okay, you know what? It could have been this guy's fault. Could have been that guy's fault. Could have been that guy's fault because obviously they're left holding the bag. We're not saying that they were directly responsible for it, but they're left holding the bag, right? And a classic example of what I saw happen in the military all the time. It happened to me. Is the lowest guy in the totem pole is the one that's going to go ahead and get it, right?
Most of the time.
Yeah, yeah. And even though you didn't play a part in it, but or somehow because you were there, you know, so yeah, they protect each other. It's part of the rules, how, they're like, oh, I got a wife, I got kids, I got a mortgage, I got my reputation to protect. Let's get so and so. So we need to change the narrative, and we I think we as Americans, in order to change the conversation, we need to have expectations. If we don't have expectations of the rule of law to be held for everyone involved, then what benefit is there for us to be law-abiding citizens, patriots, you know, um, folks that would want to, what's our motivation? What is it? Because you made the statement that, what happened to the American dream?
Yeah. Well, I mean, where my mind, I mean, that this kind of ties to just so many different areas
Yes.
for me. Because when I look at it, I'm like, well, if we are going to demand a certain level of accountability or rule of law or whatever else, we've got to be willing to request that standard and continue to request that standard until it's met. The problem is that I don't have enough time during the day. I got too many other pressures and too many other different things that I need to take care of, and my attention span is so low. Yeah, I know that's a problem, but I got to take care of this too.
You have bigger, well, not bigger, immediate problems.
Immediate problems.
Yeah.
And so this just goes into the whole idea about how, as society as a whole, we're we're under so much pressure from from maintaining a daily life that we can't address any of these
Correct.
bigger issues.
Yeah.
And so it goes to the point of, hey, we're tax slaves to the point to where if I don't handle just my daily business, so it's a control mechanism.
Yes.
It's completely set up to make sure that the masses,
Yes.
we the people, can't really get a fair address of our grievances because we don't have time for those grievances.
Yes.
Because we've been pressured so much that we're actually being very well controlled.
Yes.
And I mean, and you can go into how that is why it is. That's a multi-layered cake that goes on for a long time.
Yes.
Well, and I think a good example, and you're gonna correct me if I'm wrong because I might be, but like the income tax, right? They didn't start it with the World War. When the World War started, then they created this type of assessment so we can get more funding, but then it never went away.
Yeah.
And then nobody actually
fought it.
say, hey, by the way, it's been 10 years. Are you gonna continue taking that much money?
Stop taxing us, please.
And because everybody have to take care of their daily problems, the monthly problems.
Yeah.
And again, it's already tax season or whatever. It's
Yes.
you don't have the time.
Yes. So we always talk about how can we be unique? How can we be different. And basically what we want to do is we want to go ahead and connect with the audience, the people listening to us, right? So we've given the background, we've stated how we feel. Now let's talk about in a world where we're gonna use the word demand. We demand justice. All right. If I were sitting in the king chair and you guys would be my advisor, so I'm advisor to my left, I advisor to my right, and I say, I need to make a decision. I need to make a point here. I want to go ahead and make sure that the rule of law is followed, that the king's decrees are followed. And to me is, I thought this realm, this area, this little segment over here had plenty of money to go ahead and provide training to avoid the situation from happening. So somebody's head needs to roll. Okay. But, and of course that would be in the dark ages, right? We're a little bit more sophisticated now. Somebody needs to go ahead and be made an example of, right? So perhaps what would be a good punishment for these guys? Okay. Once we determine that there was some fault here. Okay. There was some fault here. And the rule of law process to it. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So I'm looking for a punishment. To be clear, I'm looking for a punishment for these folks. Okay.
With the point of making an example.
Say again.
With the point of making an example.
Well, it's got to be an example,
and or to make it to make an accountability.
Well, a lot of people step into office, an elected office, and they say, "I got this. I want the responsibility." Like the governor. Okay. Like whoever runs off, I want the responsibility. I want to be held. The sheriff. I want to be held accountable.
Mm. Yeah.
So you get it. What you're saying is, to the minimum level, if you put a badge on you, you're gonna be held accountable.
To me, yes. So the thing is,
yes.
yeah, in the military, there's a thing called the UCMJ, the United States Code of Military Justice. Okay, it's basically our rules of how to be a good soldier, good airman, whatever. And we are actually charged if you violate rules. You wearing the uniform,
Right.
see? So why can that be applicable
Okay.
as well?
So I want to like interject here just for a second, because you started this question with the premise, as the king, I want rule of law.
Yes.
Okay. Why?
Well, the king decides. Boom. I got you.
But why? We're not, and I understand that that's the premise of the way you set up the question.
Mm-hmm.
But the king doesn't. A king doesn't actually want rule of law. He wants control of people. He wants power.
Okay.
And that's actually what we're dealing with. We're not dealing with a government that wants rule of law. They don't want rule of law.
Very
They
interesting.
want control.
Very interesting.
It's that simple.
Yes.
Now, we the people, we want rule of law. Or
Okay.
we say we do.
Yeah.
But we don't necessarily require it.
Well, we want justice.
Usually no. I'm sorry. Do we really?
Well, when we say
Do we even understand what real justice requires?
break it down for us.
I mean, we say we do, but I don't think that we the people actually understand what real justice looks like. Because what real justice looks like for, maybe this guy that, abused a kid or whatever, to me is marching him out to the front lawn and sticking to the wood chipper feet first 15 minutes after he's sentenced. That's real justice. Let's take care of it right now. We don't need to pay for him to be in I don't want to pay money for him to stay alive forever. No, he just needs to go away. That's real justice. But are we prepared
and maybe somebody else will think that that's injustice,
possibly?
and that's where you have all these conflicts of ideas or perceptions of what is justice.
Exactly.
Okay.
See, I mean, like, so back in the day, if a king declared you're guilty,
Yeah.
they didn't wait around. They took him out and they
There was no
executed him.
trial. Yeah.
Hung him, cut his head off, you're done. We're done with you.
Yeah.
You're out of this society. You no longer belong.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So do you go ahead.
So the question is, do we understand what justice actually requires, and are we prepared to actually deal with it? I mean, the whole reason you don't have rule of law at all is because there is no balance of justice. If you started doing public hangings for serious crimes, do you think those crimes would drop? Sure they would, because you're displaying the consequences. The only reason we don't have rule of law is because we don't hold people accountable to a level of justice, because we're so sensitive. We can't stomach the idea of what's actually required. And until we get to that point, and history shows, we're in this arc right now where at some point the people are going to go, we're fed up. And that this is why you have revolts and revolutions and everything else like that. They get fed up to the point to where we're enslaved, we're overtaxed, we're there's too much pressure, we can't take it anymore. And that's why those things happen. I mean, so we're in that same arc right now. There's a book called The Fourth Turning that talks about all of that, and he goes through everything about it. And we're in that place right now. Now, technologically, we're at a different place where we are much more subdued and maintained and fed and distracted and comforted and controlled. So that's a little bit different aspect. But the fact of the matter is that and if you're going to have a discussion about rule of law, well, rule of law has nothing to do with what's going on right now at all, in my opinion, because the government doesn't want it. They just want to maintain control. The people say that they want it, but they don't actually, because they don't actually require it. The only way that you could require it is because it is with a high level of justice. And we don't have a stomach for true justice right now. We just really don't. And until we get angry enough to require it, it won't be established.
Wow, you just blew my mind. That's great breakdown here. Well,
And that's my take on it.
no, that's
Yeah.
a great take.
Yeah, and I think what what's happening right now, you say we're getting control or getting distracted, getting manipulated technologically, right? So now it's that division of the different ages, right? I think somebody who's 20 years old is going to be way easier to be manipulated than you. It's going to be way easier to change their process of thought of what is actually justice than you. That's now that's the government. I believe the same thing that you do, that the government's goal is to divide citizens so that way they're weakened as small little groups that don't have the same problems, so they don't unite and they don't come at them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If the white, black, and Hispanic community actually came together instead of standing divided in their own ethnicities within the United States, the government would have no choice but to follow whatever the people demanded. But we don't, because we just fight amongst ourselves.
Yeah.
And we think, oh, you're the problem. You do this. Or you're the, whatever. We point fingers, we argue.
Well,
It's
there
a
is
complete waste of
politicians,
time.
they inject that also
of course they do.
into the different groups so they can fight to each other.
Absolutely. They encourage it. That's a whole strategy. Just keep them fighting amongst themselves so they don't tell us what to do.
Yeah.
That's all they need.
Okay, so can we agree that yes, it's obviously it's divided, but because I brought up Uvalde, and the idea that there's a lot of things that went wrong. Okay, does that require a capital punishment for the people involved in it? Obviously, it would have to be something that would change everything. I think it would change everything. It's like, hey, there were some deaths, eye for an eye, right?
Mm.
Negligence, whatever it is. It was just a lot of things that just didn't add up. They just don't add up, you know. So to me, something that would help heal, I believe, the situation as a whole is for some people to be tarred and feathered,
Mm.
you know, and it would be the people who obviously, you know, or
I mean, in a situation where you have a position of authority and you were supposed to carry out certain duties and you failed in that mission, then, losing your position, losing your job, or losing your ability to have that same type of job in the future, I mean, that's pretty significant because that your career is done. You have to go find something else to do. You cannot find yourself back in a position of authority where you could cause the same problem again. Um, I mean, I think that's pretty significant. At the same time, you know what goes a long way is if when you're in authority and you make a mistake, you actually stand up and actually own it to the people that you hurt or allowed harm to come to and go, "Hey, I failed in this way. I am going to step down. I will never be able to be in law enforcement ever again." I mean, I think that would just alone. I mean, take the public humiliation and the accountability and own up, and then,
I hear you. I still like the idea of tar and feathering, and this is why. Because of
is it tar and feathering kind of, I mean, like literally,
literally, you put tar on
literally, yeah.
people and then you fucking drop this.
And it doesn't that kill the person that you tar and feather?
Oh no. Yeah.
So that would be the only aspect.
Obviously.
So I would say this, and I'm strong on. I mean, there's certain places where I'm like, you just go ahead and take that person out.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But if it's and it, this is where we could maybe split some hairs a little bit. I know that some of those guys who did not take action because they did not take quick, decisive action allowed for the death of some of these kids. I think that's fair to say. But they weren't the ones who killed the kid. So I have a little bit of a problem with taking their lives for that, because at that point you're just removing, look, you screwed up. You know how bad you screwed up. But I don't want to take a father away from another child. You understand what I'm saying? Now, if I've got a person who is wantingly killing others, is a menace to society, does awful things to children especially, they just don't need to be here anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine with me. But in a point of negligence, like in this case that we're describing, I don't think taking. I think humiliation. I think public apology, stripping of opportunity in the future. Yeah, that's all totally fair.
Gotcha.
It should be, some type of, when you have sex offenders where you, for life, are going to know their address and their history. Should be the same kind of deal.
Yeah. I got you. No, it's a very interesting perspective. Let me go ahead and argue the point a little further, because the way I saw it when it initially went down, and having been in government, in state government, there I saw the cronyism take place. Okay. When cronyism is involved, that means you do not act out of line. You first talk to who you need to talk to before you make a decision. You never make a decision on your own. Okay. That's what I found out in the state of Texas. So, hence why perfect environment for something to go wrong, where these cops, and I'm not saying that they're all of them were at fault, but they were walking around saying, "Hey, somebody needs to make a decision. What's going on?" I mean, they were asking questions. Again, these guys have families to go home to, and they want to keep their jobs, right? But I do recall seeing a video where there's gunshots and nobody's moving.
Yeah.
No one's moving. All right. And I can tell you that you have a similar situation where someone opened fire in a school in Tennessee, not long ago, and you see a police officer running with an AR.
Mm-hmm.
He just, see the car, and he's just starting, he's hearing the gunfire. It's like, where's it come from? Where's it come from? Where's it come from? Where's it come from?
Yeah.
It's like, and he takes out he takes out the threat.
So to kind of go through the progression of like levels of accountability.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like, and I don't know all of the ins and outs of that particular scenario that you're talking about with Uvalde, but it just sounds from the surface level that there was a huge lack of leadership
Yes.
and decisive action
Yes.
on the scene.
Yes.
Okay. So once that occurs, I mean, the chain of command just breaks down from there.
Yes.
You end up getting guys that could have been an active source of positive action going, I'm waiting for somebody to tell me what to do.
Exactly.
At the same time, every single individual has a personal responsibility for taking an action. If I'm in a scenario and I have a weapon on me and I'm standing in a room and someone takes a weapon and starts slowly shooting people one by one.
Yeah.
And I could stop that person at some point, I am just as responsible for that person getting shot because I'm not stopping him from shooting.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So with that concept, when you look at the authority structure that came in after, you're talking about cronyism, whether it be those in government that came in and were standing behind the podium and saying, "Oh, everything was actually done very, very well." I'm sorry. As soon as you are in that place and you're applauding lack of leadership and misaction, you should be held accountable at the same level that this leadership is held accountable at.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
And if it goes up the chain, at some point, that hierarchy of leadership has to step in and goes, no, I'm sorry, guys. This was wrong. This was not handled well. And anybody below him is going to get it.
Yeah, exactly. Cronyism.
That's the way I see it. Yeah.
So just remember these names. Remember these names. Ken Paxton, AG, when Uvalde took place, responsible for bringing charges working with district attorneys.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. A.G. Paxton now wants to become senator.
Yeah.
Senator Ted Cruz was in Uvalde the very next day saying, I tell you what, and so was the governor, who is the boss of the state police superintendent.
Yeah.
Okay, who state police was there, and it took SWAT from the border patrol to come take this guy out. All right, over an hour. Okay, so again, the example. Yeah, okay, all right. So if tarring causes death, maybe we don't want to do that. But it's almost like the whole tar and feather thing was a humiliation. It was a practice, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was for those who basically it wasn't just a thing that you committed a crime. It's like you committed a crime against a lot of people here.
Yeah, it was a serious heinous crime.
Yeah, it was heinous. Heinous, and to me, that's heinous. And for you to go ahead and come and say, you know what, these guys, thank God for the police, they took out, and then you hear the stories, the aftermath of the stories that a lot of these police officers. This is what I saw, just videos, and this is on Netflix. This is on YouTube. These guys, some of these police officers, the guys that were Uvalde guys who got there first, I could hear it in their voice. how just, I mean, like they can't sleep anymore. Like their life is fucked. All right. But this is one of the things they said, and I know this is why their life is fucked. They said, no, we was like, we didn't have the right, the right weapon. To me, they needed a higher powered weapon to go in there. Was first respond. We only had a rifle, even though I see these guys coming in. I saw some shotgun. I could have sworn I saw an AR, but they were saying that they didn't have the right weapons, and that's why they didn't go after a guy with an AR with a hot weapon. So to me, it's like, wow,
That's just a lack of understanding of weapons and tactics for sure.
training.
Yeah, training. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So these guys are school resource officers, or even if they weren't school resource officers, they were in a police department that falls under the police departments of the Association of Chiefs for whatever towns, and they realize these are our needs, right? Everybody's always wanting to say, hey, let's give some money to law enforcement, right? The threat level, I don't know where it was, right? But to me, it was just lack of training. All right. Now, a sophisticated police department gets there, and what I mean by sophisticated is you have tactical gear, and you have the weapons to go ahead and take this guy out, meaning the state police board patrol. I think the sheriff's office was even, right? So everything was there and nobody moved, right? Now, the reason why nobody moved is because of cronyism. Okay, because when you create a culture of cronyism, nobody moves unless I tell you. And it creates fear. I'm not going to do it. You do it. I'm not going to do it. Who's going to ask? Oh, But when you create an environment and you go ahead and tell our job is to protect lives.
Yeah. So do you think it was okay? So you think it was more cronyism than lack of leadership, or those are kind of those are like the same thing?
Those are the same thing.
Okay.
Those are the same thing. If I'm a leader in a cronyistic environment, I'm not sure that's even a word.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we'll go with it.
We'll go with it.
Yeah.
I'm going to create that type of environment where it was like people. It's almost like a Tony Soprano. Nobody knows. Do you ever see Tony Soprano? No. Oh man, it would have been a great example. He was a mob boss.
Yeah.
And the thing is he used to go to therapy. But on this side he's beating the hell out of somebody. On this side he's eating a big old fat sandwich. And the thing is because he's always in so many different. What mood are you gonna get him in? That his top bosses would be like, "Oh fuck, you tone,
okay."
Because when you've heard the sayings, the king. You come and you give the king bad news, you can get it.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to go ahead and tell the king over bad news. Like
don't want to be the messenger.
You see what I'm saying? So you create that type of environment, and I saw it in the Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs. I saw it from where I was. It's like, wow, this is cronyism 101. I remember going and talking to the director and introducing myself, right? This is the guy that runs the whole show for that agency. And the arrogant look that this guy gave me when I said, hey, my name is Fernando. I just started working here. I've been asked to leave. We met at a conference in Boston. And he looks at me just like this. This though. All right. Just fucking walked away. I'm like, all right, motherfucker. All right. So that type of attitude, he's almost like, who the fuck are you?
Yeah.
All right. You don't talk to me. You have like 2 or 3 bosses that talk to me that I talk to. Maybe I talk to one if I feel like it. Don't fucking talk to them.
Yeah.
You see? So if you have that type of mentality throughout the whole state of Texas, and something big goes down like this, where so important that our children's lives are involved.
Yeah.
I think it's not only the mentality, it's the system itself. It's they probably have advisors or they will enforce that type of stuff. Like you cannot break down and take action on your own, but we go back to this scenario. It's the lack of leadership. Once you sit on that seat for that position, you should be accountable and you should be capable enough of taking those decisions. Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to throw in another aspect that I see in this, and it has to do with what I call the warrior class of men. And I mean, look, I don't know the guys that were down there that were kitted out that were supposed to be taking care of business. I don't know who they are or what type of men they are or whatever else. But a warrior class of men, they wouldn't have stood by. It doesn't matter what kind of equipment I've got. We're gonna grab 8 or 10 of us, and we're just gonna all run in that room. He might take out a couple of us, but he's not killing any more of our kids.
Well, I think that
I don't care if all we have is a club. You know, I'm gonna get to him. We're gonna beat the snot out of him.
Well, that fits the parent actually. When that fits his, like, that's a word. He's not waiting for the police to. They're holding them back, and he squeezed through the police.
Yeah.
and he went in there.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
one of them was a woman. She said she one of these
So
jumped the fence.
Yeah.
So I'm probably gonna screw this up, but there was a scenario that happened at a military academy in which a gunman walked in and opened fire on an instructor, and the cadets jumped him
Yeah.
and took him out. None of them had weapons.
Yeah.
And by the time the police got there, which was like 3 to 7 minutes later, that guy was already taken care of.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry, that guy walked in, I think, with an AR
Yeah.
or some type, high powered weapon.
A big threat.
Yeah. And he shot the instructor, the teacher, the professor at least 3 times, a couple of other people a couple of times, but 3 or 4 of these guys, and I've listened to an interview with one of the guys talk exactly about what happened, but they got on him. Now, what would have happened if they would have, well, we don't have the right equipment? They all would have gotten killed.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to the warrior class kind of concept. I don't know what type of guys these were. Okay, if I had to just judge off of the little bit of what I've heard so far, I would say the Border Patrol was probably the only group of warrior class that showed up, because they ended up actually going in, right? So why is that the case? Because most of our warrior class men are in the military or are getting sent somewhere else to do something else. And we don't have, and they're dying for,
Or they're killing themselves from PTSD.
well, after the
Depression,
fact,
anxiety.
possibly, or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah, because they get sent off to a war that makes no sense
Yeah.
for somebody else, for no good reason, for no good purpose, and they come back and they go, why did I spend 20 years doing this? For what purpose? And then you wonder why we don't have any men here in those positions of protection at the local level.
Your in-house law enforcement. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You don't. You see. You don't see something that inspires. Just put it that way.
And then you end up with, I'm going to get, this will be good. And then you end up with a potential warrior class by name, because I don't know this guy, who's now just taken the seat of Massie in Kentucky. And maybe he was before, but now, I'm sorry, dude, you're a politician.
Yeah.
So you've crossed over, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because if you're playing that game,
Yeah.
and you're taking money from certain sources, I'm sorry, I don't trust that guy anymore.
Yeah. No. I'm with you. It's been a very good conversation. Obviously, it's an awful situation that is being digested right now as it relates to the children of Uvalde. But our respects to the families, our respect to those loved ones, and yeah, no, it's I'm talking to those guys that showed up there, and just waited and waited. I'm sure there's nights that where they get haunted. but there's an opportunity here. I think there's an opportunity for people to come together and mourn, obviously, for what happened, right? And the Bible says there's a time for everything. I mourned along with them for quite some time, so much that I couldn't, bear visiting, Uvalde. I think I've been there once or twice before this happened. And the reason why it's so near and dear is because it's so close, and it's here in Texas, right? And just to hear the tragedy that transpired, right, and also the key events, right, to include or distinguished politicians there talking about how great law enforcement did, and then just having such a bad day once upon doubt how bad they were, but never an apology, never saying, hey, we got it wrong. Oh my God, did we get it wrong? But we're gonna make it right.
I mean, I think it's appropriate for higher up leadership to come in and go and show support. I think that's fine. But once you find out that things are not what you think they are, then you don't just sit back silently and go, I came in and praised this situation. I have now found out more facts. There were some terrible things that were done here.
Yeah.
And we need to get this corrected.
Yeah.
That, look, if you don't know, you don't know. And I can appreciate coming in quickly and kind of going, hey, good job, guys. I know y'all worked hard on this. We need to look at everything that went on, and but I want to praise you for your efforts, that kind of thing. And then a day or two later, going, okay, we looked at this and you all screwed this up.
Yeah.
I mean, like, come back with something. Like, do your due diligence. I mean, even if you didn't do the due diligence on the drive down there, I get it. Maybe there wasn't time for all of that, and you just want to show up and show support. I'm okay with that. But once you find out, you better correct the script.
Yeah, because you're in a totally fantasy world when you are just saying something that is totally out of reality with the whole purpose of protecting these people that should be accountable.
Yeah, if you then, like I was saying before, if you then go with the narrative and keep building up something that's a falsehood, you are now just as responsible and a part of the problem as the ones who.
What does the Bible say about this? What just transpired here? Can you guys think of a story in Scripture that describes this very situation where one of the kings is faced with having to get an explanation? I know that there's several. One of them comes to mind, and I'll share it with you now. It's when Paul was in prison, and all of a sudden he disappeared. He's like out, chains fell off, door open, boom, he walked out, with an angel. All right. And the king calls the guards, like, bring those guards right here. What happened? Right. Off with their head, gone. Just like that. So yeah, no, we've come to a point in time where they show up before the king, and the king asks them what happened, right? And then they're and what I saw happening was, oh yeah, no, this Paul walked right out, so and so was responsible for watching them that day. He didn't do it. And then the guy that comes in, and the king's like, okay, got a pass. How about you? It's like, well, yeah, I was responsible, but it was my wife's birthday, and I was preoccupied with that, but so and so, should have been okay. Bring so and so. What a patient king, right? What a patient king, and just the excuse keeps the can keeps getting kicked down till you end up with a guy, who's like, I don't know, lowest man in the totem pole. He wasn't even a guard, and he's a janitor, perhaps. He was cleaning the prison. Says, it was a janitor. He should have woken me up. It's his fault. The janitor should have woken me up. The minute he saw something, because I know that janitor comes in with that fucking broom every time at 5 o'clock in the morning. And that's about the time we suspect he left, sir. Oh, bring me that janitor, that stupid fucking janitor. Take his head. Take his head. So I think that's basically what's happening, you know, because the janitor has the fucking keys, and ironically, that this chief of police had the keys, right? And he was fumbling with, I can't figure out which key it is. Hold on, let me try the next one. And he's saying this. I heard him say this. I heard him say, "Sir," talking to the gunman, "Sir, you know, please, you know, we're trying to go ahead, sir." And this guy was the chief of police. He wasn't just an officer. He was a chief of police, right? So in order to be a chief of police, for any town, there's got to be a process, right? There's got to be a process. First of all, you got to be a warrior. You can't just fucking wear a badge and a gun.
Well, that's sort of my point. A lot of those positions are now held by a politician.
Yeah.
And that's a problem. Yeah, that they don't have what is required to make things right or to act in the right way.
Very good. Well, you know, this is obviously this is something that's coming back to light. There's a few reporters out there who are saying, "Hey, wait a minute, how come this is just going like this?" And it's like, and he's that's part of the reason why I brought it up, because it's not going away. I don't think it's not going to go away. I made comments before next saying how this is nothing else is going to define the governor's office more than this incident. Uvalde. He has blood in his hands.
Well, in my opinion, like I saw that, you know, all this type of money that is being funded for
Yeah.
having a type of panic rooms, a type of let's get all the kids in behind these bulletproof screens and these drills and training that the teachers are going through. But
Yeah.
in my opinion, yes, it's fine. But I think something else should be more on the reaction team, you know, more training and not normalize it to the kids are growing up, maybe doing a drill every six times in a year
Yeah.
and thinking, oh, this is just fun. So in reality, when it happens, yes, they're gonna know how to do the first 3 steps of the drill, but after that, what?
Yeah, exactly.
That what's gonna happen? They're just gonna be there and you know, but that's the point. Like it's normalized.
Yeah.
I wouldn't like for my kid to be through that process of growing up thinking, well, every so often we do drills because somebody can walk into my school and start shooting everybody.
Yeah.
You know, that should be prevented.
Yeah.
That the whole idea should be before the door.
Yeah. Yeah. And I can tell you that there's certain jobs, right? There's a job of the teacher, right? There's a job of the parent. There's a job of the cop. Cop didn't do their fucking job. Okay. That's what happened. So and the bosses of the cop, they were negligent in the sense of this you know, if they're there and they want to go ahead and say, hey, you know, I'm the governor, or I do this or I do that, or I'm so fucking great. No, you're not. No, you're not. You suck as a leader. You know. So with that said, I would say let's go ahead and wrap up this this conversation. Table it. All right. This is not one that you stick a fork in it. We're not done. Right. But I do want to get into the Spanish